Hey everyone, this Black Friday I had picked up a Velowave Ghost e-bike delivered to my garage by FedEx just like this. Normally $1,500, I picked it up for $1,150, also came with a bell as a free gift. And I chose this particular bike after much deliberation. One, it was a company that actually existed, it wasn't fly-by-night, so I'd be able to get repair parts. Secondly, I'm 6 feet, weigh 230 pounds, it has a model that fits me perfectly. And I'll post here all the particular dimensions they show about this bike. You can pause here to view it. Also, this is a 500 watt motor with a 15 amp hour battery, so kind of middle of the road, not overkill for power, and it doesn't make it too heavy. But where does an e-bike fit into everything? Well, after multiple back operations, this kind of gets me back in the game for bicycles. I would hope be able to ride with the wife again. Also, a lot of places I go to are just too far to walk, but they're too close to heat up the motorcycle engine, which is where most of the wear is. So instead of rebuilding engines prematurely, use the e-bike. And this video is going to follow the format of my regular videos for the motorcycle work. So let's get started. Got big arrows pointing up. I'm just going to assume we're going to be opening from the top. And I was right to think so, because there are instructions just for removing the packaging from the cardboard. I've been told this is packaged really well from multiple sources, so we're going to see how good this really is. Booklet for the actual assembly instructions is found up top. The wife joins me to flip and lift the box off. This part is definitely a two-person job. Makes it easier. Laid down in this direction as instructed, I remove the two cable ties securing the tire and pull the tire out of the packaging. I then remove the cardboard box in the back right corner. This cable tie is unclipped to reveal the handlebars, which I then pull out and lean off to the side. With that, this top layer of foam can now be removed, and I agree this is definitely packed very well. So now I clip the two cable ties holding in the battery, pull those out, and remove the battery from the foam. At this point I can lift the whole rest of the bike out of the foam, holding the foam down with my feet, and I kick it out of the way. So I'm straightening out the forks. There's like a protective plastic on the bottom so the bike will sit upright. And I now turn my attention to the instruction manual. So the first step is basically to point the headset towards the front of the bike and then mount the handlebars onto it, as shown. This piece of paper wrapped around here is saying wait with an exclamation mark. It caught my attention, however. And it says safety is important, mount the handlebar with the screws and everything. And it's showing the pictures that's also in the instruction manual. I'm wondering the relevance of this piece of paper. Is it like an epidemic of people not mounting the handlebars onto this bicycle? Before continuing, I open up the cardboard box full of supplies because I know there are some tools in here. I have better tools than this, but to get the experience of building this bike using the supplied tools, I'm taking them out now, and I'm going to use these tools for the build. Here's what I found. A 15 and 13 wrench, a Phillips screwdriver, a large hex key of currently unknown size, a bag of stuff that also contains a small hex key, so I added it here, and a hex key multi-tool with 3 multi-sizes on it. I point this piece in a forward direction. Doesn't have to be perfect, it's not critical yet. And I remove the packaging material from the handlebar. There's a lot of foam packaging material on this bike, but I guess more packaging material is better than not enough. These 4 bolts will need to be removed so that this entire clamp can be removed. So I remove 3 of the bolts, and one of them I keep retained inside the clamp, removing the clamp with the bolt. Now I get the handlebars roughly centered. I eyeball it again. I'm going to adjust this later to make it perfect. Putting the clamp back on with the 1 bolt, I start to tighten it down to get enough threads to hold it in place so that I could get the next screw in the diagonal corner once this one is sufficiently in. And I just want the screws in. I still want to be able to pull the handlebars left or right, as well as rotate the handlebars. They're not in their final position yet. Now looking from overhead, I'm able to center the handlebars as well as rotate them how I like them so they're as high as possible. I'm going to be swapping them out later, but right now we're keeping them original. And I take the slack out of the 4 bolts, and then I'm going to be incrementally tightening them down a quarter turn, going around until they're sufficiently tightened. Now I understand why they put this label on here. This piece right here is not documented. They forgot to tell you to tighten this down, which you could be doing later. It's not in the instruction manual, so I guess people would forget to tighten it down and terrible things would happen. We move on now to the front tire installation, quick release version, which is what this bike has. And we have the tire and the skewer and some parts, and we have to line up a bunch of stuff and then essentially push this through everything and lock it down. I've added a chair to the right side in case this tips over during this process. We got a lot going on. I put my foot on top of this plastic guard and lift up the bike to remove it from the bike. There are also some protective plastic pieces on the end of the tire, so I remove them now from each side. And there's also a protective piece in between the brake pads of the front brake. As we can see, this fork is still backwards, so I'm going to have to flip it around now. So I'm just going to turn it, make sure I don't drop the bike. And the red lock over here should be on the right. Now I'm going to tighten down the screws that are not documented in the instruction manual. That's why they have that label wrapped around here. 2 on the side as shown, and 1 up top. Alignment's not critical yet. I'm not going to align this until the wheel is on and the seat is set up and I'm sitting on it. Carefully lifting the bike, and if need be with the assistance of a second person, that disc has to slide in between the brake calipers, and also those 2 splines at the end of the wheel need to lock in just like that into the bottom of the fork. We see it locked in now. Everything's in place. We'll show again from the front, everything locking in. The brake pads are sitting around the brake and the splines are in place. This piece is now unscrewed along with 1 of the springs. I grabbed 2, I put 1 back, and now I slide it through, putting the spring and then the cap on the other side. I start tightening it down, and I want to tighten it down and take out the slack and then a little bit further. And I'm going to test to see. I should be able to turn this and it should be hard to lock down. Not terribly hard to break it, but it wasn't. So I tightened it further, and now I push again, and it takes some effort to lock it, and now I know that it's good. This is what I want. The front wheel is now on. There's also documentation if you don't have the quick lock. I guess it's just universal documentation. It's not much different, but it was just worth mentioning in the video. I go back to the box and pull out the pedals, and they have a note attached to them, which probably means at this point that something was wrong in the instruction manual, and they are clearly labeled left and right as we see here. We use the supplied wrench for the next task, and as I put the right pedal on, it's pretty much straightforward. I'm going to screw it in, and then I'm going to tighten it down with the wrench, though the instructions does not tell you how much to tighten it down. That would be the reason for the note. The instructions also does not tell you that the other side is obviously going to be reverse thread, another reason for that note. I can't help but wonder how many people experienced trouble or had to call the support line to figure out how to get the other side in, not understanding that it was reverse thread. It must have been very frustrating. I get to the battery now. I probably should have started this earlier, but I'm going to unwrap it so we could get underway. And we could see the battery does have a charge indicator on it, which shows it to be green, which is good. And there's the charging port on this side. But I do want to charge it to balance all the cells and the charges in that brown box. And this includes the power cable as well as the charger. And that's all that's in this box. Looks basic, nothing special. It does have its own charging indicator on it. And that's about it. For this first go around, I'm going to charge the battery off of the bike. So I'm going to follow that instruction on the bottom, where I'm going to place it on the ground and plug it in to the charger as shown here. And we're going to see how long it takes. I don't know. It says that the battery is not empty, but it's not full. So we can see that the charger connect is keyed, but it's not painfully obvious. So you have to see which way you're plugging it in. And now I'm going to lay it on the ground. And I'm going to plug in the AC power, and we should see on the actual charger it's red, and we have to wait for that to turn green. And we could see that is written on the back here. Also notice that on the charger, no, there's no indication on the battery's display unless you press that button. Aside from the charging and the battery and the usage of the electronics, there's no other information. This is where it ends, right here. So everything else I do is off the books, which we're going to do now while it charges. So this bag right here turned out to be spare parts as well as a hex key of unknown use. Plus that back in the box, we have a light there, we have a front reflector, a rear reflector, 2 spare spokes right here. We'll start with this light, and this is 48 volt 10 watt light we're talking about. Here's the mounting screw. It's already in the bike, so I'm going to remove it. We'll take the light out of the protective packaging. Yeah, this is kind of heavy, but it's a serious light, so I'm going to hold it in position, put that screw back in, and get a couple of threads turned to get it started. Then using the painfully unergonomic supplied tool, I will tighten down the screw. Nothing wrong with the tool really, it's just that there's no clearance to turn the screw with this tool, so you have to keep doing what I'm doing. And the canter of the light should be centered, but as for the up-down, I'll have to check that later when I can see the light shining. The connector for the light is keyed, it only plugs in one direction. I plug that in now. And the light's installed. I'll manage these wires in a bit. And there's still packing material all over this bike, so now as I see it, I'm gonna remove it when I'm in that area. Maybe it's because of the electric headlight, but there is no place to stick this front reflector. Nothing in the documentation, and nothing in any of the pictures on the website about it. Very strange. I could stick it like right here on the handlebars, the only place that would fit it. And while I don't need it, just for completeness of this video, I'm going to install it just to show there is room on the handlebars to stick this. So that's a demonstration of mounting the front reflector. For the rear reflector, I'm going to raise the seat some, not to my ideal height by any means, but just put the reflector on. And it'll wrap around just like this and tighten down. Then there's that second screw which will set the angle. And that's it. That's the rear reflector installed. Looks just fine. And we have no more parts left to install. Everything else is going to be set up, fit, and finish. We can see the alignment is way off. I'm going to address this now. First, I'll loosen these 3 screws so I can make the adjustments. And once that's done, I'll be able to align both the handlebars and the forks to the rest of the bike, taking my time to ensure that everything is perfectly straight. I don't want to be in any rush. And then I'll tighten it down once everything is perfectly aligned. Then I'll get off the bike and remove the rest of the packing material. A lot of the cellophane was really on there, and I didn't want to risk scratching the bike with a razor to remove, so it was a bit challenging to remove some of this stuff. Next, I wanted to test out the functionality of the brakes, which worked fine, but there was way too much slack, way too much throw. I'm not used to this much play. So all I did was extend the cables here with this adjustment to remove some of that slack that was in the brake handles. And I'm not saying it was adjusted wrong, it just wasn't adjusted for me. It's a matter of preference, but it took a couple of times and testing to get it right, and I wanted both of them to match. So obviously I'm going to repeat this on the other side once I got this one locked down. And you can see the before and after. The one on the left I've already adjusted, the one on the right I didn't. So I'm going to adjust the one on the right now to match the one on the left. And we should be done. Here we go. Now it's looking good. I just give them a quick test mechanically to make sure they're working properly. It's not riding on the brakes, stuff like that. Each one of them seems to be working fine, so we can move past the brakes now. I'll clip off the keys. And one last piece of packaging material. The tires state between 30 and 50 pounds. I'm going to go and put 40 into them. Now I've locked the front suspension for testing, and yep, it's indeed locked. It doesn't flex. I'll unlock it now and try it, and we can see as I push down, it deflects, so this is working good. This side has an adjustment, of course, to set the preload for the front suspension. The shifter is a twisting type. It looks like it's stuck between 3 and 4. We'll straighten it out when I spin the wheel in a bit. After quite a bit of time, the battery's at 100%. I did want it at 100% to balance it for the first time, but it's done. So now I'll disconnect it, and this battery has got these 6 connectors on the bottom that I will align and insert it right into the bike. But I can't snap it in because I'm going to need the key. So I'm going to hold it in place and grab the key with my other hand. And as I turn the key, I'm able to push it in with no problem. It snaps in. Then I could remove the key, and the battery is going to be locked into the bike. And without using the key, I attempt to press the button to remove the battery, and we could see that the battery is not coming out. It's just in there. So I'm going to have to use the key, turn the key, press the button, and the battery drops down just like that. So the key is required to remove the battery. So I guess that's a good safety feature to stop somebody from walking off with your battery and not stealing your bike. So now I'll peel off the plastic on the LCD screen, and I'll fire it up for the first time. I'll point out it's very hard to focus on the screen with the phone for some reason, so I apologize for that. I'll get a better shot of this in a bit, but we got the miles per hour, the battery, the odometer, and the level we're on. And there's an up and down button that sets what level of power contribution the bike will use. Also, holding the up button turns on the headlight, as we see right here. And there's a headlight indication that shows up on the LCD screen. Hold it and it shuts off. Tapping the middle button once brings us to another screen that shows us information, our trip, odometer, and time, which seems to reset very quickly. So I'm going to show it again. Holding in the power button will shut off the unit, and it'll say welcome as the unit shuts off. I didn't do the first ride on camera. I didn't want to be distracted for safety purposes. I just want to make sure everything's working. And I did about 20 miles and got the battery down to 80% as we see here. There's some ergonomic modifications I absolutely have to make for my back before we continue. I'm going to have to order some parts. And when those parts arrive, I'll make the necessary modifications. I'll research this bike further for more features as well as a test drive. But that concludes this first part of the video. I hope you found it enjoyable, entertaining, and informative. Do me a favor, hit that like button down below. Helps me out a lot when you do. And hit that subscribe button for more videos like this when they come out. When part 2 comes out, a link will be posted in the top right corner. Again, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching. Would you like to reply?